a bird. It's a plane. It's
Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman on Justice League Action. This is Mark Wade, writer of Superman Birthright, and you're listening to
the All Things Kryptonian podcast, including Superman and Supergirl.
We discuss games, movies, cartoons, TV shows, and comics.
Find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. If you want to help out this show and any other show on Southgate Media Group, and you really don't have the extra money to do so, check this out. Go to southgatemediagroup.com. At the top, there's a link to Amazon. Click that, log into your Amazon, shop and buy like normal, and part of the money that you spend comes back to us to help us with our podcast. All right. Welcome to the Krypton Report special presentational review of The Long Halloween Part 1. Now, with me today on this quest are the champions of good, those who fight the evil, the usual Mr. James Cole. Welcome, James.
Hey, Tyler. How's it going?
And then the man from the shadows, the voice of thunder. Could not be here, so we got Bryan. Hey, Bryan.
Hello.
Now, we're really excited to talk about The Long Halloween Part 1. We are all fans. If you don't remember, when we reviewed recently Tim Sale's and Jeph Loeb's Superman for All Seasons, we talked about just how great Loeb's writing was. And The Long Halloween has always been one that Batman fans have talked about forever. And yes, we are Batman fans as well. That's okay, people. You can like more than one thing. At least that's what I'm told. And
that's what I live by.
You know, and this was coming out. We were all kind of worried about having mixed feelings about how Hush played out. And so we were all a little bit more hesitant with this. But we were also happier that this one was going to be a two-parter. So with that said, Bryan is the biggest critic of things not being adapted and corrected. Bryan, what did you think about this?
I asked. I thought it was done very well. I thought that beginning with Dale art credit, very homage. I thought it was very well done. I feel like it was like they didn't get enough part. But I can't why. As it, but I really loved like like we'll get in. I loved. I was not let down by, and I hate and about everything.
It's true. That's why. What's funny is out of the three of us, you were the last one to watch it. So James started it first.
Well, boys got work, man. Boys got work. Got to make that cheddar.
And then I saw it, and you were the last one, and we were all like, "All right, what's Bryan going to think?" Now, I do want to say this for anyone who, after this podcast, I highly recommend going to Batman on Film and listening to their most recent episode where they talked with the screenwriter. He makes some really interesting, good points about adapting this work. And the one that I really want to point out is when they did Hush, and my predictions were correct with Hush, was they incorporated it into the continuity because animating Jim Lee art is more difficult. So by incorporating it into the continuity, it caused already some forced story changes. Now, The Long Halloween is, as of right now, its own thing. So there's no forced story changes.
So far as we can really tell, I mean, we've only got the first 3 kills here. And, you know, Bryan, when you said, when Tyler asked if we had seen it and was wondering what you would think. I messaged Tyler. I said, "Oh, he's gonna hate it."
We were all very worried.
Yeah,
Why I would hate it because of how it ends.
because you are you. No, just some of the changes, like, well, I don't want to get into it right now. We'll touch on them when we get there. The story doesn't have too many changes, honestly. I mean, I'm actually
why I'm not complaining.
right. I'm actually watching it, finishing it up for the third time here in the background. First time it was at work, distracted here and there, so I'm just impatient. So I put it on as soon as I could. And then I tried to watch it again at home a day or so later. And I think actually last night I tried to watch it again. But I ended up getting pulled off and had to do stuff, and I couldn't finish it. And I missed things again. So I was like, today we're recording. I'm putting it on. If I have to watch it in a couple of parts, I'm going to be intent. I'm going to be very attentive to when I'm watching it.
So,
but I really liked it. I mean, if it's connected to the overall universe, I mean, I don't even need but barely a thread. I mean, in Superman Man of Tomorrow, we got a picture of Batman.
yes.
That's it, showing that Batman exists in the universe. And I mean, Justice Society World War II, I mean, it was mostly the Flash, and it was on a Bryan seen it, right?
Yeah, he watched it with me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. The JSA movie with the Flash.
Yeah, it was on a parallel Earth, and it had Superman, the Superman from Man of Tomorrow in it, and so it was connected, but it only had a tiny bit in the beginning and a tiny bit in the end to show that it was connected. So, I mean, for this to be connected, you don't have to see other superheroes. They don't actually have to even be there to exist in the same world. Batman sticks around in Gotham. I mean, even in Justice League, the animated series, he was only a tertiary member of the Justice League. He preferred to work in Gotham because Gotham needs him. So in Gotham, you don't need to see anybody else.
I'm going on a limb here, and this is my prediction. I have no evidence for this, but my prediction is that there'll be a post-credit scene in number 2 that may be like either Superman or the Flash showing up, and that's how they'll connect this to the universe. And that this is like, since this movie really hits on hard, that this is early Batman. This is year 2 Batman. They really touch upon his development in this, and the other movies have all touched.
Which is one of the most. Sorry.
No, you're fine. What the other films with the Superman and the Flash touch upon that they are still early. So
yeah.
That is my prediction.
Which is why I like this. One of the things that I really like about this movie is that it's early on, and Batman has character development.
Yeah, he's not Batgod.
Yeah.
I really think that I think it.
That's what I'm hoping, that this is the first Batman, and then they'll do a sequel, and it'll be Dark Victory.
Me too.
Yeah.
It just makes perfect sense.
It does. I mean, from if they are building up this shared connected universe, it's nice to kind of see it come from the ground up, as opposed to, I mean, we loved the last, but kind of with the New 52 and where it was, and the way Batman was incorporated into the New 52, he had already been doing his thing for a while, and he already had all of his wards, all of his sidekicks, and in this, it's nice to see him start out by himself. Mm-hmm. And next, hopefully, we get Robin, and as the universe goes on, we can actually get them aging and get Dick going into Nightwing and possibly, Jason, Tim, maybe get Tim since he gets no love. That's one of the things that I really love about Young Justice is there is a passage of time, even though we've only got 3 seasons, it has literally taken place over like 7 years. So lots of stuff has happened and everybody has aged and changed and developed. And I'd love to see that in this shared universe of movies.
Even if it's not a complete shared universe, but just doing the sequel of Dark Victory to connect this movie would be amazing.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely.
As I've been kind of reading these competitions and, and
Brian's a crazy guy reading chronologically from 80 years worth of comics.
I am in.
He's a smart man.
I'm year 3 of this journey. I'm currently in. I've read 6 years. 3 years. I've read 6. And
I love it that you're doing this because you've pointed out such great and wonderful things about how, not to hate on it, but like the Chris Reeve Superman was not the Superman of the comics at the time at all.
Not at all. Not at all.
It was his own thing that he created, the filmmakers created that then translated, down the line in time to the comics.
It's supposed to get Superman. Like, supposed to get Superman live action. It really was gorgeous. And then post-crisis changed absolutely because Clark never this nerd,
buffoon.
Yeah, he was a normal, down to earth, you have a joke with, and good looking dude, like kept buff dude. I always saw him buff, like would he go jogging slow at the time? I'd always comment how muscular he was. Like, well, I worked on a farm. What do you expect?
It's true,
but never like Chris did, and I love Chris. I do. He's not my favorite man, long, but that's not an is and going back to long here, I think a lot of time, he wants things that are like hip and new and with time, but 52 and now with birth here, missed out some series so good from the 80s and 90s that are still relevant. And for you to start a Batman for long Halloween, I think that's powerful. Like, and if I were to suggest somebody start reading comics today, I would tell them Batman, start with year 1, and go with Man Last, and then I long Halloween start because everything else is kind of a mess, like the story pattern, and I hope that we get Wally West. I hope we get a Green Lantern, like Emerald Dawn, something. But I like doing.
Well, I'll say this real fast, and then we'll get into the movie. It seems that a lot of our favorite stories, like the Long Halloween and stuff, are more of these Elseworlds-esque, self-contained type tales, because it's a full universe, it's a full story that stops. It's nice to have the continued continuity of an ongoing series, but at the same time, as we've discussed multiple times, is in those series you get retcons and a lot of changes depending on the writer that takes over. Like we were talking about when Bendis did the whole Clark Kent reveal thing. We're like, well, the next writer or event will just change it and go back to the status quo. Because it's still, like, looking at comics today, it's still crazy to me that Barry Allen stayed dead for as long as he did. But that's
I was gonna say the two people who stayed dead the longest was what? Bucky and Barry Allen?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think Jason Todd was dead as long as Barry Allen was, and certainly not as long as Bucky.
I'd have to look.
Barry Allen was dead from 1995
to 06.
2000 or 2009.
It was 6. I'm pretty sure it was 6.
Yeah.
Little comic tidbit there. Only character long death and still paid.
It's not Uncle Ben?
Hey, hold on.
That's like the biggest rule is like you can't bring back Uncle Ben. Like you can do like weird things, but like you can't actually have him back.
Oh, in canon, death.
In canon.
Talk to yourself.
You research. One of the things that back in the other old continuity, I really loved how they were trying to adapt these iconic stories into their into the universe, so that way they fit and flowed. The last universe, they made some missteps here and there. We'll see what they do with part 2 of this. I think they're trying to subvert expectations, and hopefully they do it better than they did Hush.
Yes.
One of the best movies they did in the last continuity was The Death of Superman. And, they put in a story or they brought that into the continuity and was able to use the A-list team, which at the time in continuity, that wasn't the thing. So the team that they used, it was, generic and some of the story was until the fight and everything, and they updated it and they fit it in the universe with the main core of Justice League, and they really improved on the Death of Superman.
And okay, I want to take what you said real quick to bring it back around. The writer, so the Death of Superman and Reign of the Superman were written by 2 different people. Okay,
right?
Because it wasn't one. It is one story. Okay, but it's not like one event book like this is, because the writer for this, Tim Sheridan, also wrote the Reign of the Superman, and in that interview he talks about how he adapted and working on that. And so I think having one single writer do both, like I said earlier to James, I have not watched The Dark Knight Returns as one movie. I only have the 2 parts, and I'm looking forward to watching this as one movie because, having the break is cool, okay? But then it gives you time, if you don't know the book or the story, to speculate and kind of really look for the clues and then think about, are they just trying to fool us, compared to just being in the thick of it, watching the film straight.
Right. And you got to give it up for the guy who did Reign of the Superman, though, because he adapted how many different books that all kind of took place at different times, for however long that ran, for how long Superman was dead, and created one adaptation.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Because they were all different books. They weren't one book like this.
Right. Tim did an amazing job.
Yeah.
So let's jump back and let's get into the Long Halloween proper.
Okay, now, quick answer.
Sure.
Quick answer. Uncle Ben is still number 1. He has not been resurrected. Karen Page has also not been resurrected. The number 1 longest comic death with number 1 longest comic death is actually Laffy, the Luke father/mother, was dead 15 for like 50 years. And number 3, Bucky Barnes The fish died and September 5. That's 6 months. How about
Awesome.
that long Halloween?
So the first thing I'm going to say is I like when we started the film, because Jania watched it with me. She was very excited to watch it. Immediately, the logo, just the way it said Warner Brothers and it had the calendars, the architecture, background design of this, very Batman the Animated Series. Like that, the way they colored the calendars or the logo and everything reminded me of like the title card for Batman the Animated Series. Very strong vibe there. So to me, that right there cemented like they're pulling from Batman iconography that we know and we love, and bringing that into this Batman as a bigger like Batman for us to enjoy.
Right. I like the symbol that they used, the bat symbol.
Yes,
I really like that in this. You know, for just being a black one across the chest, and it's not fat bat or anything. It looks really good.
Fantastic.
Well, I mean, let's look at this here. I like the fact that at the beginning, with the credits, they use actual Jeph Loeb art cut in with like shots from the movie from a montage to help teach us about the characters and the world that we're in. But also, we keep seeing this white line, and we're actually going through the bat symbol, much like 89.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. The one thing I like about this movie is the way that it's bookended. This movie is literally bookended with Bruce and Falcone. It starts before the credits. Your cold open is Bruce and in the office of Falcone with Alberto, and Falcone's basically trying to get Bruce in bed with him to, pretty much launder money for the crime family. They don't say it as much, in as many words there at the very beginning. And he says he's not his father and that he won't do business with him. And at the very end, because this movie has a post-credit scene, which leads us into the next film, he tells Falcone then, I won't launder money for you. Wayne Enterprises is not going to launder money for you. So I thought it was a really good bookend for part one, and a good stepping off point for part two, because part one actually only takes place from Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. That's it.
Yeah, it's the first
only four of the holidays.
It's 4 issues out of a 13-issue run, and that was kind of my thought was, okay, they'll do the first 6, but I think
right.
Story beat wise, I think they ended at the right place.
My only concern is I don't want the next movie to boom, 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 and kind of crush. That's my only. Feeling kind of got first 4 issues. That like issue 4 is 5 Valentine's Day, and then kind of quick after April. But like
I don't think it'll feel too rushed. In this one, it's definitely in the book. The first 4 holidays really, really build the mystery and really give you hints at who's it going to be. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They give you little hints that it is Harvey in the book, or somebody else. Honestly, in the first 4 issues, they give you more hints that it's Harvey than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Which is something they don't want to admit in this. They talk about this a couple of times in here about it being Harvey. Well, I'll go out and say right now, I don't think it's Harvey.
See, I don't think it's Harvey, and I don't want it to be Harvey. Okay, I'm going to say that because I really feel like more in here, they are trying to cement and give us a sympathetic, lovable, likable Harvey, a conflicted man, and that this is his downfall. This is his tragic tale.
They give a lot of hints at Two-Face.
Well, okay, I marked some stuff here. He says, where is it? Hold on. You have a love-hate relationship with everything. Two heads are better than one. Then we have the coin flip.
I'm only one.
I want to win, but I don't want to win like this. I'm of two minds.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about later that Harvey doesn't own a gun because of his psych profile. So he already has, issues. And I just think it's too easy if it's Harvey.
Well, he also says, I'm only one man. And then when he leaves the hospital and Gordon catches up to him outside of Falcone's place, he said Harvey's not ready, or Harvey doesn't want to go back.
Mm-hmm.
So it already seems like there's that fracture happening. He's speaking about himself in the third person.
Now, what did you think about the change that it's Harvey in the hospital, not Gilda?
Well, I got worried. I got worried that it was boom. Now it's already.
See, I think that's where they had us all because we were all
boy, I was worried.
I was hoping that wasn't going to be the case. It crossed my mind. It was fleeting, and that wasn't the case. And I was like, all right, cool.
Because that was one of my complaints about The Dark Knight. Because I saw Aaron X again, and Joker bad guy. I was like, okay, all right, it's gonna lead up Face being still in the third, and then when they went full trigger, I was really worried because I was of Harvey being a good guy, and then the slow burn. So I'm glad they didn't make Face, but they really are landing heavy that this is the Harvey
yes.
changing, and with that, but I'm telling you, Harvey did the last murder. That's what I'm calling. When I read that Long Halloween book, there's killers, Harvey, Gilda, Alberto. I see multiple killers in the movie, and that's man.
Yeah.
Well, there is some things in this movie that point to the fact that there are personal issues going on here. Harvey, this is justice. This isn't personal. Catwoman saying justice can be personal. Alberto's talking about how he loves somebody and she wasn't right for him, and the Roman did whatever he did. They just kind of alluded to, kind of like it being bad, and Gilda not being able to have kids, and saying, Harvey, why can't you be more like, and he doesn't say anything, and he's like, who? Say it. But they don't ever say it. And when it seemed like Alberto was going to, and you're talking about, you said Harvey committed the last murder in this movie?
Yeah.
Okay. So Holiday looks a lot like Harvey, but it's all you can see is the eyes. I don't know because they show Holiday, they show the mask and the hat and stuff. I don't know if they're showing you so that you can be like, oh, well, obviously it is, or if they're trying to pull a misdirection.
Well, I agree that maybe this last kill was. I like the idea that you have the initial Holiday killer, and then Harvey uses that to get a kill in, and you kind of have maybe the three killers.
Right. Kill Alberto because of the history, possibly Gilda and Alberto at one point, maybe. I didn't think it was him at first when it was brought up earlier today. I didn't think it was him at first, but then I was like, well, because he was downtown, he was in Gotham Square. Like, well, he's in Gotham Square. How does he get to the boat, the yacht, before Batman? And I'm like, well, Holiday did have a boat when he left, but so I don't know.
Here's what I Alberto and I think Alberto killed because killing Speedy brings him close to the circle of trying to get, because once that murder was done, he couldn't sustain, and then I believe that Alberto killed everybody on Thanksgiving. And I don't
the bodyguard.
Bro.
Yeah, Milos, the guy who threw the dude off the balcony down the stairwell.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. I would say Alberto killed Halloween Thanksgiving. I think he had something to Gilda past. Roman didn't like it. He's a lawyer. Says lawyer fast.
And now she's not.
Roman did horrible things. Probably the reason why she can't have kids. And Alberto kind of shut down. And Gilda ended up marrying Harvey now. Harvey knows about it. And I think Harvey killed Alberto. So Alberto tried to kill Harvey. Try it.
It was an easy way to get rid of Alberto.
Yeah.
And
I think
caught.
And he definitely did it on the bat saw him die.
What you're saying about the Gilda and past could lean into why the Long Halloween Part 2 is actually rated R. Compared to
it could, yeah.
PG-13 first one.
Right. So, we can go back. We friggin' jumped to the end. We can go back to the beginning. We got the meeting with the Roman. We got the credits. And with the credits, they show us some things about this world. We get Vidi meeting with Harvey under the bridge, giving him some information. And then Vidi goes home, gets in the bathtub, and that's when he gets 2 to the head. The jack-o'-lantern put down, Batman the Long Halloween Part.
Yeah, it was great.
And I will say one thing I love about this they added is I love the Halloween scene. They gave us an actual scene of Halloween, of Batman. Like, I love the Bruce at the house talking to Alfred, him with the candy bars, them talking about the trick-or-treaters. I love that Alfred disappeared on Bruce.
Yeah, I hate it when he does that.
And then I love that we get to see Gordon. We're actually getting to see Gordon a little bit younger. I almost wish he didn't have the mustache. If you weren't adapting it, I think it'd be a great time to not have it. But because you have to have it. Because it is a little bit of a younger Gordon. He's Captain Gordon, and I love that we see his 2 kids. I love the scene where, he's getting them ready for trick or treat, and Sailor recognized who the little girl was. And, Barbara, the mother, God, I hate the kids' names and everything, but whatever, states like they're all counting on him. And Babs, as they address her as Babs, says, I was counting on him too.
That was a great.
Mm-hmm. I loved almost everything they added to this for the first. We got that scene. I'm curious. Do you guys feel that the added stuff with Alberto and Carmine, do you feel like that is undercut by the fact that he's dead? Because we know from the comic that, Alberto fakes his death and that he returns and he gets arrested and he takes the fall for being Holiday. But in that, he, quote unquote, gets shot and falls overboard, but nobody's there to see it. In this, he gets shot 5 times directly in front of Bruce and Selena and falls off the back of the boat, and they show the body fall into the prop. So do you feel that since he is dead, like, do you feel that the added stuff they did with Alberto and Carmine is wasted?
Absolutely
I
not.
don't feel that way, because I think it's going to, like we discussed, that I think he's going to have a past.
I think
also it sorry, go ahead, Brian. You go.
I think that's going to lead to more motivation for Gilda killing, because and I think it flashback. I really think the cat will be back, because if you guys got one in Rome, kind of like sad, kind of sad. It's a long time or cat will go to Rome, basically, blah blah blah. She pretty much finds out that Carmine Falcone is dead. It's not flat out dead, but he did kind of put 3 and 5 together. I think that Alberto said, "I don't want to take for the family. I want no part of that. I'm not the holiday killer. I want no part of that." So I was thinking of what he said. In fact, the Jeph is dead. I had to watch it again because I was kind of like, wow, that was so put together. Like, maybe he's not. I say let's insert that to Alberto's. If she is Carmine's daughter in the story, what does Catwoman love? Catwoman loves power, loves wealth, and what I mean, Catwoman, right place, right time, where the money was. So help that this. She definitely made Alberto staying out there on that ledge.
See, here's what I'm thinking. Okay, you have that scene because you really want to sell the soured relationship of Alberto and Carmine. Okay, you really want to show that Alberto is intelligent. It also now gives you double meaning of why he sent flowers, because they said that the nurse says that here's one for you, and you think it's like her.
Yeah, it's for Gilda. It said it on Gilda. It said it on the note.
Right, and it's
it was legible. You could read it.
Solomon said he wants to join us, and so think about that. Okay, now this could be the turning point where Gilda takes over as Holiday to finish what Alberto started, if they want to go that route. Okay?
Right.
So, but they really wanted us to give us the idea that it was Alberto, that he and Carmine had this bad relationship, that he would do this. And now if they do a multi-killer, we're like, oh, okay, because we've had this dramatic scene.
Right.
Right. That scene totally meant to tell you that it's not Alberto. It's not going to be who you think it is. Alberto's dead. This is the whole thing. And that was the hard sell.
So we're talking about Catwoman. In the book, she's there. She leads Batman to the money, but she doesn't like work with him. And I don't believe that him and Selena were dating outside of it. What do you guys think of the fact that she knows that Bruce is Batman, and The one major gripe that I do have with this movie is the fact that she called Batman Bruce and that she did it in front of somebody.
Absolutely. There's
I was
definitely
like,
a reason
that
for
is
that.
terrible. I said, that is terrible. I the third time watching, I was like, all right, when do they find out? And they're talking. It's not in the movie.
It's in whatever their year one was.
So
it's the hidden backstory. Since we're kind of, we're at an early phase, but we're not at the beginning. So they already have an established history.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, they talk about it on the boat is when they discuss kind of their relationship. Selena says, we're different people. We know why, but we don't talk about it. We haven't brought it up. We haven't talked about it.
Yeah,
they know who each other is, but they haven't acknowledged it. And then the acknowledgement actually happens right in front of Alberto, right before he dies.
Hold on real quick, guys.
Hi, James. I want to tell you
Who do you think it is, Solomon? Who do you think Holiday is?
I think he is Carmine.
See, Solomon's thinking is Carmine. Okay,
you're wrong. It was Colonel Mustard with the candlestick.
In the study.
Hi, Bryan.
You're wrong. It was Professor Plum. I said Plum. You said Mustard.
Like we talked about before, like sometimes Loeb makes endings that are good but ambiguous. And I think that that's going to be the key to how this ends, is how they stick the landing with who Holiday is. I think, having it be Alberto, and then you have, what do you call it? You have Harvey plug in one killing. And then, of course, we have Two-Face come in later. I'm wondering how much of the second film he will be Two-Face in, or if it'll be like in the last part of the film. And they'll condense some of the Two-Face stuff down and kind of change it or speed it up or whatever, so that it's more of like one of the final like big beats of the story is him as Two-Face. It'll be more about Harvey going down. The Catwoman and Bruce stuff I think is interesting. It shows you there's more to this world, because if you think about it, this is year 2. He already has, and they talk about it, the crazies of Gotham locked up. Joker is supposed to be locked up. Mad Hatter, Penguin, like a lot of the
Scarecrow, Julian Day, yeah.
The super villains are locked up, and because we have the one mobster guy who says, these crazies used to operate on the fringes until you showed up. So this really is, the death of the mob and the rise of the supervillains.
Right. Which is how it was in the book. That's how the book ended. They basically eliminated the crime families and the supervillains took over. I liked how in this Batman has to learn to be a better detective.
Right.
He says he says that I never thought that Batman would have to be a detective, at least not a great one. I don't. That's not exact, but it's very close.
Can I? Sorry, I just want to say the one big thing that I wanted to hit on. Okay, that I feel. I think it's changed. Like I said, I started to reread the book while Sayla was in the hospital having her test done, but then they went so quick that I didn't even make it through issue 1. The one thing that I kind of feel I don't like is that Batman's the one who suggests the coin toss having a trick coin.
Nope, didn't like that at all. Nope.
And it's like he set Harvey up. Because Harvey says, Gordon told me to work in the day. And that's the one part that I had a problem with. Because it was like Batman was forcing his will, what he wanted to do onto Harvey instead of really giving Harvey the choice. And that's what kind of was the catalyst, you know.
In my opinion, that feels more like Batman. Batman will manipulate and have an outcome to something he wants. That's the difference between him and Superman. Superman will allow you to make that choice. Batman, if he needs to, he will try and make it seem like it's your choice when that's the outcome he wants.
No, I agree with that, but I don't know if I would do it. I don't know if I would do it to Harvey. I don't know if he would do it to Harvey, I guess.
Right. Makes sense.
But other than that, yeah, totally, that's a Batman thing. So that's the one thing I kind of had the most kind of gripe with, was because I was like, man, that just to me felt really bad for, what do you call it? For good old Harvey. Now, another change I want to get your thoughts on, because I feel like that reflects back to who the killer might be, is when the Joker is in the Dent home, Gilda's not there. Unlike the book.
Yes, he says that she's out where he left her, last minute Christmas shop.
Stop killing people.
Right. Well, he does.
So guys,
Joker does.
What do you think about the movie?
I thought it was great. I really liked it, and I can't wait for part 2 next month.
Thought it was the single greatest that I watched.
The second one is longer than the first one.
I think it's going to be.
It has.
I think it should be a good 15, 20 minutes longer. I think this one might be a little bit shorter just because of where they chose to end it, to have that beat. Now, what you were saying about Joker, go ahead.
Yeah, so what I was saying about Joker is I feel like, because it's been a while since I read the Long Halloween, since I read the book, and I know that Joker shows up there, but it's a really quick scene in the book. It's a little bit longer here, and I feel like the scene with the Joker, it was combining 2 scenes from the book that we see. Yeah. So in the book, there's a scene early where a gun is being filed down, and then Gilda comes to the basement door and sees Harvey down there, and it looks like his workbench, so it makes it seem like Harvey is the one who is filing the serial numbers off of the gun.
You are correct, sir.
And then in the Joker scene in this, they combine the home invasion with the Joker, with the fact that Joker pulls out the holiday gun and he says, where'd you get that? He says, why? Are you missing one? So I think they combined the idea of those 2 things, the home invasion with the scene where it looks like Harvey is doing what he's doing with the gun. So it makes it seem like that's one of Harvey's guns.
I agree. What do you guys think about Gordon giving Harvey the gun?
I thought, I thought it was kind of like good execution. It was like him giving the gun. Is basically Batman. It's the same scene as Batman giving Harvey.
I think
Gordon's a goody. Yeah, I don't think Gordon's as a goody 2 shoes as you're saying. You know what I'm saying?
He's a good cop. He's not.
He's
dirty.
a good cop. Yes, he's not dirty, but he's still, And he gives him the gun because he knows he doesn't have one and that he's a target.
Right.
He gives it to him for protection.
Now, what I found interesting though is I told Jania, what I found interesting, he didn't reach into his ankle holster and grab his backup or an extra gun. He gives him his service gun. Because even later the Joker says police issue, which that means that serial number on that gun and everything would be tied to Gordon if it was ever used.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
So that's what I said. Moving on.
He said.
I think it has to be where
it's just protection. He thinks he'll never use it. Gordon's not an idiot.
Think about it like this: both of the friends of Harvey Dent are trying to protect him, and I think Gordon more so protecting him with giving him a gun, knowing he's a target.
Right. Well, when he gives him the gun, he says, "I don't think I was ready for this," and then he turns to Gordon and he says, "Don't worry about Harvey." That's what he said. I spoke earlier about him talking about himself in the third person. That was the what he said. That's when that happened.
Now, I do want to say one thing about, from a production point of view, that I didn't like about this movie. I did not like that there was no kind of artful transition when we went from month to month. We got the really cool ending of like the holiday itself, but there was certain part where it was like, I knew from the book where we were, but we have the explosion of the Dent home, and then we see like them on the street, and then there's a line about it's Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
and I was like, we needed some sort of like, just maybe like someone tear, like each time it could be a different character, like Alfred, like in one scene tearing the calendar, and it says November, just so we know that we're moving into the next month or something.
Right. I could see that, calendar months pulling away. What I did like though was when they did the shot with the gun and the holiday item left behind, that they put the holiday. It said Halloween, said Thanksgiving, said Christmas.
Yes. Say it, Solomon, quickly.
When at the end of the book, Joker actually gets beat down by Batman, but in the movie, it's longer. It's like really longer.
Yeah, during the Christmas scene.
Solomon's also Joker was kind of in 2 holidays.
Okay. we were talking about Thanksgiving. I'm glad they put Solomon Grundy in there, and Batman knows about Solomon Grundy, and he's kind to him. I love that he left him the plate. And I really like the fact that they had Selena and Alfred in the kitchen, and, Alfred he smacked her hand like, no, not right now. But Bruce had already torn the other leg off to leave the plate for Solomon Grundy. I thought that was great.
I pointed that out the second time to Solomon so he would see it. Like, is there anything else we kind of like want to wrap up the discussion? Because I feel like when we bring this back around and we talk about part 2, I think we'll really have had more time to, go through this and dissect it and then look at it as a whole. So any kind of last minute comments?
You're saying Alfred is Holiday?
What a twist.
Why not? Why not?
Mean, like
Alfred went to acting school. He has military training. It gives Bruce the reason to be Batman.
Yeah. I do like when they're in Arkham, where they're walking by all the cells, and Gordon says, this was all you, and Batman says, I wanted them in Gotham Penitentiary. This is Harvey. And he admits, he says he was right. Some of these people need psychological help. So, that was a nice thing that he says. I like that part of the story. They're going to talk with Calendar Man. In the movie, because it's part 1 and it happens at the end, it almost seems like it's happening too late, but it's happening actually exactly at the same time, and that it doesn't book. Just because the book, it's in the first quarter of the book, the first third of the book. So it actually happens at the exact time. It happens at the right time. It's not out of place. And then at the end, after Alberto is killed, Harvey and Batman and Gordon are all having a chat. And I like the way that they're writing this Batman, because he is internalizing this failure. Alberto died in front of them. He said he should have saved him. He said he should have been better. And they say we all should. And Gordon says we all should have been better.
Yes.
So
I think that
this is very well written, and I like the dialogue.
It's a lot heavier of a story, and they're keeping it there. So, Bryan, final thoughts.
I think that Catwoman is a major player. Eyes on her. I think something in Alberta built. I think kind of made that pretty evident. I think that him I think the most him as
Okay.
I can't wait. I can't wait for the courtroom scene. He gets splashed with the acid.
I'm just
want to see what they do.
I'm just glad we don't have to wait a month.
Yeah, for real.
My own concern is I am a little worried that the killer build as something stupid as like joke just hard. I'm a little worried.
I don't think so.
But
the only thing that I'm interested in is if they're going to bring back Alberto or not. Because, like I said, just go listen to that Man on Film.
I watched that scene
Tim
because I was already game. I was like, I don't think he'll come back. But I watched that scene over again, man. He got shot in the heart, he got shot in the shoulder, boom, 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 fell, went right to that feller, boat, brother on the boat, and got shot.
Yeah,
right in. He is done. He's gone.
You listen to the writer talk, and I have confidence that he's doing a good job, and he knows what he's doing. So we're going to put a pin in it right there. Unless, James, you have something?
Yeah, no, just the Joker thing. Like, they did what the Joker does in the book. He doesn't want competition. He doesn't want somebody else taking thunder, killing the mob, taking stuff from the mob like he does. So, I don't think that'll be the way that they would go.
I don't either. I think if they did something like that, it would just destroy what this is.
Yeah, I think the very graphic death of Alberto in the end of this, I really think they purposely made that to completely subvert expectations because of people knowing that Alberto takes the fall in the end in the book, and that they're like, no, this isn't going to be Alberto. But I'm hoping, since this was so good, so well thought out, I think that I'm hoping that it's a satisfying conclusion.
I do too, and I just remembered there's a part in Dark Victory between Two-Face and Julian Day.
Yeah.
He goes to say who Holiday was, and Two-Face stops him. And that's where I'm going to end it.
Interesting, because I haven't read that, and I'm going to have to read Dark Victory after part
2. You've never read Dark Victory?
I have never read Dark Victory.
The first time I read these, I read them like almost back to, like, I think I read them one day, and then my friend gave me the second one. I read it the next day. But
I've been wanting to for a very long time.
All right, guys. It is time to say goodbye. Bryan, thank you for joining us. James, as always, I enjoy
it's a pleasure
listening to chat. And
don't forget me.
It's been a long day.
And Solomon's here with us. Solomon is here with us in spirit because he is here listening and wants to join in. So just remember, everybody, check out The Long Halloween Part 1, and we'll be back with The Long Halloween Part 2. Hello, everybody. I just want to let you know that Southgate Media Group has its own Patreon. That's right. For $5 a month, you can get exclusive shows, content, and interviews with the different podcasters of the network. This Week in Geek is a Patreon exclusive only series. So check it out. Go www.patreon.com/Southgate Media Group. We are always adding new content.
This is Dan Jurgens, and if you want to have a good time, keep listening to the Krypton Report.
The Krypton Report is part of the Southgate Media Group
network of podcasts. If you have an interest, check out Southgate Media Group to see if your podcast is there. I bet it is. At the Southgate Media Group website, you can sign up for our newsletter. You'll get info on all the shows, and you can find what you want. You'll also find links to our sponsors where you can get great products and support the podcast. Also, our book, Pod Life, Podcasting Stories. It's a great book. Check it out. It's nice to hear where people come from and why they do what they do. And remember, if you're like me and you love listening to different podcasts about Superman, I have a few that I want you to check out. Some of my favorites are The Last Sons of Krypton. Connor and Ray are always reviewing different books, and it's really nice and refreshing to kind of dig back into older stuff. The Aspiring Kryptonian, Tasman and her team are always finding interesting people to interview. Digging for Kryptonite has become one of my favorite ones to listen to, as Anthony digs into different eras of the character. There's always the Always Hold On to Smallville, which I've guested on before, if you're wanting to step back into that nostalgia realm. So check out all these, and there are many, many more. So check out our Twitter, because we're constantly finding new podcasts that inspire and bring hope to everyone around.
Like